Okay, are we ready? Already recording. We'll never be ready. They're here. Hey everyone, and welcome to Spooky Sips, the show where we put our love of horror into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm drunk. So drunk. And Brianna's here too. Well,
all right, so listen.
Full disclosure.
We got sipping a little too hard.
This is the second of the evening.
And we thought it would be a good idea to drink a little first. And here we are.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Real wasted. Doing really good, guys. And we just watched Poltergeist.
Okay, which honestly, I was going to come up with like my own little thing, but the summary on the TV is perfect. Evil spirits abduct a suburban family's daughter, causing chaos and havoc.
Nice reading.
Which I would say that is what we just watched.
I mean, you both watched. I fell asleep for about 45 minutes of it, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's not the gist of it.
So let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
I think we have to at least start by stating the era. This film was 1982, and you can feel it throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
The clothes, the hair.
Oh, 100%.
The CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, classic.
Yes. It just nails the 80s.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I have to say, like, here's the thing. When it comes to horror, a lot of times I feel like the cheesier ones are hard to take serious.
Mm-hmm.
But when you realize, like, when this one came from, it actually is, like, a legit what?
I apologize. There was nothing funny.
What just happened?
I love this movie.
Are you crying?
Are you crying right now?
Okay.
Please describe your emotions.
Laura is legitimately crying.
She has reached for the tissues.
I don't know what's happening.
Why are you
I'm
crying?
just nostalgic for the era, guys.
Why are you crying?
I don't. It's just a really. Okay. All right.
Are you okay?
No, I am not.
Why are you crying? Yeah, let's hear.
Honestly, I looked at you and I started to cry.
Every day.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, this might be the unairable. Unairable. We had this idea, and we went too far.
Yeah, we got a little too drunk. I apologize.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've gone too far.
Okay. All right. Continue.
The era.
okay. Where were we? Oh, okay. I know where we were. All right. Historically speaking, let's talk about the first time we all saw this movie. So I remember seeing it on TV as a kid. So not like watching it in totality. Okay, but like seeing clips of it. And it was really scary, like as a kid. Because this came out before I was born. Like it was known as one of the scary movies. So like when did you guys first see it?
Yeah, I think I had like a really similar experience. It was just kind of on TV.
Yeah.
And when I see any sort of horror movie as a kid, I was like, yeah, 100% I will watch this right now. And yeah, way creepier.
Yes.
When you're a kid watching this on TV.
Mine was not on TV. So my friend, Kristen, if you are listening, she had like HBO pay-per-view stuff. So like we rented it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like for the rich people.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so we watched it that way, and that was when I was living on the Divinity School campus in Upstate, and we had a tree that looked.
Oh,
like
we
a
did.
poltergeist.
We so did.
Gosh.
Yes.
It was super spooky.
No, it was.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to.
I will say that's one thing that they just absolutely nailed was like that specific thing is like having a spooky tree outside your window, and like that was, I think the like writers and a lot of people who like took part in the film tried to kind of like think back into like their childhood horrors, and that was one of Steven Spielberg's was like he had just like this very, very creepy tree outside his window that he just absolutely hated.
Yeah.
And they nailed that. Like
they did.
When the tree like bursts through the window and like, grabs him, they absolutely nailed that like childhood fear.
No, they did.
Yeah.
And like I will say, okay, so we've all, watching it, we all know there's a lot of cheesiness.
Yeah.
Like the ghosts themselves and the pop outs, like it's pretty cheesy. But one reason why I feel like this movie stands the test of time is the acting in it, actually. Like there was this one scene where the mom is like talking to Carol Ann and just her facial expressions. Oh my gosh, like that part is not cheesy, and I feel like that is what makes the movie like hold, because it is genuinely like with the music, and so it's like even though it's cheesy, there is something just like inherently you have to honor about this movie, like a scariness.
It's very real.
Yeah,
it is.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think both of the parents, like the actors who played the parents, really nailed it. And honestly, the kids, like all three kids, did a really, really good job. And like sometimes with child actors, you kind of have to, be a little weary of how good they're going to be in the movie.
No, you really do.
All three of them, I think, really nailed their characters.
Well, and another thing that I thought of this time, which I haven't really realized when I've watched it before, is Laura and I have had this debate, and then my husband and I have had this debate. Anytime I watch a horror movie, the thing that drives me nuts, the husband never buys it.
Yes.
He is the first one to be like, bitch, you're crazy. Like, I love that this entire movie, they both fully support one another.
Yeah.
And like, they are in it together, and actually, I would say that's very unique to this movie.
It's honestly relationship goals.
It's a love story.
From the beginning, where they're just like getting high together in the bed for their kids.
Like that's life goals.
No, like it's actually very sweet.
No, it is like it really is but really, it's unique in the fact that like they unconditionally believe and support one another. Like even the scene when she's all excited to show him the chair, like he instantly buys in. Like there's no doubt, there's no bullshit. He's not like, oh, Diane, you're crazy. Like,
is that her name?
Yeah, it is Diane. No, but I love that. Yeah, no,
that
so
is
I'm
such
a big fan of that part of the movie.
Of horror movies.
Yes,
as the husband just
and
not
honestly,
what's happening.
okay, so here on Spooky Sips, we have a pact, and I feel like all of you in your friend group should have this pact, okay? We love our significant others and our spouses, but you can't always trust them. So we are in full agreement that if one of us comes to the other and says, I am being haunted, there is a ghost, we believe each other.
Absolutely, we do.
So you must enter into this pact with your own friends. I feel like it's very important. Spouses, forget about it.
Yeah.
Friends, though, yes. If either of you were like, I am haunted, I'd be like, hell yeah, you are. Let's figure that out.
Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We might be drunk, but like,
we'll still
they were in this movie, so
let's be honest.
I was drunk before we started the movie, so
So you were in ship shape.
Yeah.
Sip
shape. Sip shape.
Spooky sip shape.
Okay, so
anyway,
I feel like, and I want to know which one of us knows about this.
Ooh.
But if any of you know and have heard of this movie, hopefully you have also heard of the curse
Oh,
surrounding this movie. And I
Yes.
feel like you cannot talk about Poltergeist without talking about the curse of it.
Yes.
Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
No, 100%. I feel like that's one of the first things that comes up when
It
you just
is.
even try to search Poltergeist.
Because
like
it's wildly
curse behind
unbelievable.
the film.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. So, the first character I remember hearing about is the older daughter,
Yeah.
that she was stabbed in her driveway.
Yeah.
And I believe it was right before the movie came out,
Yeah.
or what?
I feel okay. I'm
Okay,
gonna
let's
go
fact check ourselves
I'm
here.
gonna go on like a slight tangent.
Yes,
of the
let's hear
curse
it.
of the
Mhm.
film. Because there were definitely some spooky things that happened while filming. And it's not like specifically with just the first one. It kind of goes on.
Yes, it does.
To
It does.
the other two movies, Poltergeist 2 and 3. There were a lot of claims of like the actors, like while they were filming this, experiencing like paranormal things in their
Mhm.
apartments. Like they would get home and all of their like photos would randomly be crooked, and they would, kind of straighten them out, like, oh, that was weird. And then the next day they would get home and it would be like the same, where they all kind of moved out of place, or like a bookcase where like books started falling off. I feel like one of the things that I remember hearing about it is that they used real skeletons.
Okay, look, we're going to talk about that in a
For the
second.
movie.
And that's my favorite fact.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yes.
should we just go on that tangent right now?
I mean, go for it.
Okay, so the reason that I started being interested in facts about horror movies
Mhm.
is this movie. Because I found out, and I was so mind blown that I was like, I need to investigate every horror movie there ever
Mhm.
is. The scene towards the end when the mom falls into the pool, because she falls in twice.
Yeah.
This is the second half. Towards the end, when she falls into the pool and there's all these skeletons.
Mhm.
So here's the wild thing. It's a different time.
Mhm.
Rights and laws were maybe not quite the same in 1982,
It was the 80s.
but it was really
in the
expensive
day.
to get prosthetic skeletons.
Mhm.
They weren't like they are now, and it was so expensive that it was out of their budget to fill that pool with prosthetic
Mhm.
skeletons, so they just went and found them through like medical labs and cemeteries.
This blows my mind.
Yeah,
Like,
it was-
plastic was
It
so
was
No, it was.
actually cheaper
To go and get. But the best part is they didn't tell the main actress. So the woman that
Mhm.
plays Diane, they did not tell her. So she did not know until she was in a pool of water
Mhm.
screaming and flailing around that these were legitimate bodies.
Yeah. It is.
It's messed up.
I
man.
mean, you would think that like a movie that kind of revolves around the fact that
Yes!
you maybe shouldn't like disturb the dead
Is all about
Right?
disturbing the dead,
would understand.
which is actually kind of wild to me.
Mhm.
Like, so yes, that is one of my favorite film facts
Yeah.
out there.
It's absolutely insane that they're like, well, I mean, making fake skeletons is a little too pricey, so let's just go find some real ones.
Yes.
to me, like the germs of that, like you're
Oh.
just swimming
I
in
don't
the water of
Oh, it's awful.
skeletons.
I don't think germs
yeah,
were a thing in
juices,
1982.
Yeah,
Oh,
they didn't exist
man.
back then.
That's
Yeah.
a little creepy.
I think to me the most convincing thing that it was definitely haunted is that in the 90s there was an earthquake that actually hit the neighborhood where they filmed Poltergeist.
Oh.
And the only house that experienced real damage was the house where they
No.
filmed Poltergeist.
I mean, there's no way
Every
that
other
that's
house.
not like legitimate factual information that
Yeah.
this movie is cursed.
which is
Yeah.
straight out of the movie. They experienced like that earthquake at the very beginning.
Like,
Yeah,
you
they're like,
can't-
it's a 6.2 or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Like,
So they experienced real, a real earthquake.
Like, you
people
can't-
live in this house.
So yeah, I think the same people owned it
Yeah.
at least from the beginning of the film through at least like the 2000s. I don't know what they did with it. I know it experienced like real structural damage from
Yep.
the earthquake,
Mhm.
so I don't know if they like still lived in it after that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like okay. My slight tangent is the
Yes.
deaths related
Yes.
to a lot of the actors
Yes.
with the film. I feel like personally the deaths are just I don't know, they're so wrong and like that,
yeah.
that it almost like feels wrong to be like, oh, it was the poltergeist
No,
curse.
no, because it
Because
is.
they're just
They're so sad.
they are so Yeah, so troubling.
So,
yeah.
for our viewers that don't know, I feel like we should state. So let's just start in with Carol Ann.
Yeah.
She was pretty young, right? It was a medical misdiagnosis.
Yeah.
Was it? It was something with her stomach, Crohn's disease.
So she had seen a bunch of like stomach specialists. She had been sick for like 2 years.
Yep.
So she had filmed and done Poltergeist 1, Poltergeist 2, into Poltergeist 3. They took a little break because the director had like a previous thing that he had to go to, and so they just took a little break with the film. She went back home and she was not feeling well. Like, she turned to her mom, she was like, I can't swallow. I think something's wrong. So they had to call, like, they called the ambulance to like, get her in
surgery.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they got her in because they were like, okay, we need to take you to the emergency room right now.
Yep.
And it was while she was in the ER that they realized it was congenital stenosis. So she had been misdiagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Right. That's what it was.
For 2 years, and had been getting obviously the wrong medication, not treating what she actually had, and eventually died of cardiac arrest at the age of like 10.
That is so
and then
sad.
the other two were similar medical things, and they were from later films. They were not in the original. Who was it?
So it was true related to Poltergeist 2.
Okay, that's right, the second film.
Yeah, so it was actors Julian Beck, who had been diagnosed with stomach cancer even before.
That's what it was.
He agreed to send it to the film, and he just loved acting, and he knew he was dying, and so he wanted to take part in another film as kind of a way to be like, this is what I love to do. I want to do one more. I couldn't find if that's why he died, but I know that it was 2 years after he got the diagnosis.
I think it was related.
That he died. I couldn't find that was exactly it. And then the other was Will Sampson, who played Taylor, the native shaman in the second movie, who died during, I think, a transplant surgery.
Yeah, it was a medical thing again. And then the older daughter, her name is Dominique something.
Dominique Dune.
Okay.
Who played Dana.
Who played Dana. Yep.
Very confusing.
And she was killed by a partner.
Yes.
Like a domestic thing. In her driveway.
Ex-boyfriend who she had a previous like bad experience with, where I think he had like hit her.
Yeah.
They got photos. She had like bruises all over her face. She, I think after another incident, had finally decided that she was going to try to leave him. So that she had attempted to separate, break off the relationship. He was a chef, and he like created this like chocolate mold of her face, like delivered to her house. Yeah. And like went and like tried to talk to her, and like he tried to like get inside the house, and she was like, no, like you can't come in. And like, finally she was like, okay, like I'll talk to you outside the house. Yeah,
in the driveway.
And like just like in the driveway of her house, and he strangled her while they were outside.
Well, and I think part of the reason that so many people talk about the Poltergeist curse is not just because of these deaths, because they were completely unrelated and totally unfortunate. Yeah. But it was because there was so much other stuff that was happening that then for so many of the cast members and the main cast members to have died very shortly, like I believe that hers was before it was even released, right? Like she died before the movie even came out, I think.
It was like right after.
Oh, right after. I mean, okay, that's right. But it was very soon.
Because she had gotten all of this fame. The movie was a great success. She got all these other auditions. She was set up to be on another TV show. Like, I think the night of, she was actually practicing lines with someone else. Like, her career was very much so on the rise.
But I think it's because there was so much other stuff happening. It wasn't, if it was just the deaths alone, I think that's unfortunate, but because there was so much happening that, like, it just became this thing that there was some curse, and it's kind of hard to, I don't think that deaths are related. Yeah. But you, like, what do you do with all the spooky things that were happening during the filming? Like, how do you dispute that?
Just all these and like, I mean, we watched the first one, so like, you know, I don't want to talk like too much about the second movie, but they experienced just so many more like weird things in the second movie. Like, they would film and then they would go and like check the film and nothing would show. The film would be all black. Which
is wild. Like,
it's a curse.
I know. Like, it's really...
Like, they had all of these just, like, very... And, like, even the actors themselves, because I think they managed to get almost all of the main actors. Like
Mhm.
I think they got the people who played
Yep.
two parents and Heather O'Rourke who played
Uh-huh.
Carol Ann. They got them all back, but yeah, they just experienced so much weird stuff while
Yes.
filming the movie.
No, it really like is kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But I think as a movie, it really does stand up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just the whole premise, it's super unique. The fact that, like, it's a haunting, but in a really unique way because it's not like she's dead. Like, she's
Yeah.
alive, but she's been sucked into the world of the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is wild.
Yeah.
Like,
It terrified me as a kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Watching it now, it seems a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
So I wasn't scared by it in the slightest. But as a kid, I was terrified.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. Well, and one of the interesting things is it is a horror movie. That is like the genre
Right.
of it. But there are no deaths in the movie other than Tweety Bird.
You know what?
At the very beginning.
Tweety Bird.
Well, and this part was interesting, and here's something that will make us viewers that were born before the 90s feel old, is it was originally, I guess, supposed to be an R rating,
Yep.
but they were able to get it down to a PG because there were no actual deaths, because
Mhm.
PG-13 did not exist.
Yeah.
That was not a rating when this movie came out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I'm like,
yeah.
what? Like,
And in the UK, it was rated X.
yes.
And I think their equivalent of PG-13 is like something 15.
Right.
And it took them so long to get it approved that
Yeah.
the posters were released with an X rating.
Yes.
Why would
Originally.
this be X? Like, what about
Okay,
this?
it was originally way darker.
Yeah, it was.
Their original
Oh.
so the two writers, when they first talked to Steven Spielberg about this film, they were like, look, in order for this to be like a good horror movie, people need to die. And Spielberg said, okay, like, what are you thinking? And they were like, the whole family. We're
Everyone.
thinking everyone should die.
Yes.
And Spielberg was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. How about one person? And they were like, okay, the little girl then.
Yeah.
They thought that Carol Ann should die at the very, very beginning and then haunt the
I
house.
mean, that's a fair like take on it because
Mhm,
it's almost like she is, even
Yeah.
though she's not dead. Like
mhm.
it is almost a haunting.
Yeah. And I think they were going to make even the relationship between Diana and Carol Ann like more tense. Like I think they were supposed to like insinuate that Carol Ann was kind of an accident.
Mm.
And so she was kind of supposed to resent her daughter.
Oh
So it was going to be like a
that
lot
is dark.
darker and
Oh my
more tense of a
Yes.
relationship. And pretty much all of that was
Oh my
nixed in order to get the
gosh.
full PG rating.
See, here I am again thinking that would have been
Mhm.
such a better movie. Like I like this
Mhm.
movie, but I feel like it could have been darker.
Well, and it
Yeah.
is important to remember, like, contextually when this movie came out, like, 82, that's pretty early in the history of horror movies. I mean,
Mhm.
there wasn't a lot of, like, blood and guts. Like, the scene where the guy... Oh, this is one of the scenes that, like, stuck with me forever, has the meat on the counter because he's just going to get a
Oh my
snack.
gosh, yes.
And it like comes alive. Like that was pretty gruesome for the
Yeah.
time, like where he's tearing his face off. We watch it and it almost feels like Beatle-esque, you know, like Beetlejuice. Like it almost feels Beetlejuicy. The scene where he's like tearing his face off.
Mhm.
But you think about it, and back then, like that was actually pretty like risque.
This was 40 years ago. If
Yeah.
It's 82.
Yeah.
Don't say that out loud.
Oh my god.
40
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, and actually, I think one of the things that's like interesting to remember is like technology when it
Mhm.
comes to scary movies. I think I actually love like reading that kind of shit because, like, okay, so the scene with the meat, for instance, if you noticed on the counter, it's got tile
Mhm.
because what they did was one of those tiles was open and they had like a thing, like a little screw that moved the piece of meat, and that's how the meat moved on the counter. But it's wild to think now that would just all be computerized,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
but I actually kind of love thinking of like the
Oh.
sets
Mhm.
and the innovation that went into these movies because I
Yeah.
think man, like, it was so tangible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, practical effects, in my opinion,
Yeah.
always just look so much better.
Yes,
than
like,
CGI.
wild. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I will give mad props to the fact that, like,
Mm-hmm.
so much went into that part of it. Like, the visual effects back then.
I feel like, okay, just talking about how maybe it could have been darker. One of the kind of controversies at the time was it was directed by our boy Toby Cooper.
Yes!
Who did Texas Chainsaw
I was going to ask because I saw that come up and I was like, wait a second.
Yes.
We know this
So,
name.
Technically, it was directed by him.
Oh.
Originally, it was going to be directed, but was produced by Steven Spielberg, who could not direct the movie because he was working on E.T.
Oh.
And the company said, no, you cannot have two major films at the same time. So he found someone else to be director and said, well, I'll be producer. And that will be okay. And he even came out and, like, he had this quote where he basically, because people kind of knew that maybe Toby Cooper wasn't completely in control of the movie, and this was more of a Spielberg film.
Like, he was really the ghost writer, so to say, behind everything.
And he came out saying, like, well, Toby isn't a take charge kind of guy.
Oh, jeez.
So, you know, I would kind of step in. And he did later have to come out with, like, an apology letter saying, like, no, like, his involvement was, like, very important to the film. You know, he was the director. He was there every day. I feel like maybe if he had let him take a little bit more control.
Yes.
Having seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I would have loved to see his take on it.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yup.
I feel like now that you say that, I'm remembering hearing some drama about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I feel like we would be doing a disservice to the movie if we didn't, like, talk about the premise of it.
Yes.
But the idea of building homes on a burial ground, like, originally when I heard about that, I feel like that's such a trope that you've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually think about it, like, do you believe that is an effed up thing to do? Like, whereas the boss was like, I'll move the headstones, but I'm not going to move the graves. Like, do you feel personally like that's a messed up thing to do? Or do you feel like it doesn't really matter?
I mean, to me, that seems obviously messed up. That seems like you're just asking for a haunting.
Right? That's what I think.
Honestly, I think even had they moved the body.
Yes!
Right.
Like, I think you don't do that.
You just don't do that.
I don't know. Like, I think even if you had, like, you do not, there are certain do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a major one.
I mean, I think I'm going to take my standard, I disagree with both of you. Because I agree, like, in principle, you shouldn't do it. But the heart of me thinks they're dead.
Right.
We're in a housing crisis.
Well, and at what point are we going to run out of room where they are not burial grounds?
So, like, it's like, you know, they're just bodies at that point. Like, just
no, they are eternal resting places.
I want to say,
100%.
this is probably the wrong word, but I want to say the romantic in me feels like don't build on top of the dead bodies. But, like, the practical person in me is like, whatever, they're dead.
The corporate greed in you is like, fuck them.
Yeah, just go for it.
I don't know. I just feel like there are some things that are, in quotes, sacred ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of them. Like,
a cemetery
is literally sacred ground. Like, I think you can't mess with that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that to me is, I would not live there. If someone told me, again, even if they were like, don't worry though, they moved the bodies.
Right.
I'd be like, yeah, no.
Right.
No.
I feel like I would pay double.
Now, I literally, when I bought my house, had to, like, sign a form to be like, I'm living on toxic waste land, but I'm okay with that.
That's different.
That's different.
On you.
It's okay to, like, live on toxic soil. Like, I can't garden.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay. But a dead body? No, that's crossing the line.
Mhm. See, put me on top of dead bodies, sure. Toxic waste, absolutely not.
I don't know. I just feel like,
Weird.
I get so annoyed. Like, okay, a side story, but I lived in the basement of my parents' house for a long time, and just the sound of them above me all the time
Mm-hmm.
was insane. And I think, like, I'm dead and I want to take a fucking nap.
But you can't hear. You have
You
no ears.
probably,
You are
what if you
dead.
can, though?
It's
What if
their
you're in there
spirits. Their spirits have ears.
and all of a sudden
Right.
you have, like, a duplex on top of you with
Yeah.
children?
Yeah. Tell me you would not haunt that.
I would haunt the shit out of that.
I would haunt it,
Mhm.
but I would also willingly be haunted by it.
Mm.
I will just live on top of it.
Okay.
Just a friendly Casper the Friendly Ghost
I'd
style
always
life.
prefer-
Honestly,
friendly
it has been my
ghost.
dream. I just want to be haunted.
No, I want to be haunted.
I
But I don't want to, like, disrespect their space
Yes.
to do it.
Yes.
I want to be like, come and find me
Mm-hmm.
because I stay at your hotel. Like,
Yes.
that's different.
no, I'm gonna move on top of their grave.
But I don't want to be like the reason that their eternal rest is
Yeah.
disrupted.
All right. Well, you're a lot more respectful than me.
Move on. Well, guys, this is loosely based on a true story.
Oh, wait a
Which I did
second.
not realize. It is definitely not as extreme, but it is loosely based on the Herman family, Long
Oh.
Island, in, I think it was around the 1950s. Husband and wife were named James and Lucille, and they had two kids who they named James Jr. and Lucille Jr.
Love them.
If I were gonna have kids, I would name my daughter like Junior. Me.
Yes.
That would.
Yeah.
That's what I would
As someone who was named,
Right? I
after
was
them,
going to say,
don't
wait a
do
second.
it. It's really confusing. For some reason, it works really well with men.
I've known
Right.
you for so many years, and I don't know your name. Like I just don't.
There's no way to know.
Like there's no.
It's like
way
a
to know
Gilmore
me.
Girls
Yeah, it
situation
is.
happening.
It very much is.
So essentially, what happened is one day, Lucille and the juniors got home after school, and they just heard all of these popping sounds. Like they described it as kind of like a champagne bottle pop,
Yeah.
all at the same time from like different parts of the house. And so they went to like figure out what was going on, and it was just like all these random things. Like it was like a shampoo bottle in the bathroom, like a medicine bottle that was somewhere in the house, and then a little bottle of holy water
Oh,
they had had
of
sitting
course.
around, and it was just, I mean, nothing that would be like carbonated or you
No,
would think
but just
could pop.
no rhyme or reason.
Yeah. And so Lucille, calls James while he's in the office. And
Honey,
she's
I'm
like,
at
"Hey,
the office.
Look, something's wrong with the house." And he's like, "Look, honey, I don't know what's
I
going
can't
on.
right now.
I'm at work.
Yeah, please don't call me on
We'll
this
figure
number.
this out later." So they kind of tried to like look around, check the shampoo
Right.
bottle, see like what was going on in there. They couldn't find anything. And then nothing really happened the next day. So I think probably they did what we would all do, which was just say like, well, that was weird.
Yep.
Probably just move on,
Yep.
I guess.
Mhm.
And so they waited another day. Nothing happened. Okay, cool. I guess we're just in the clear. That was just
Right.
a random thing.
Just a weird altitude pressure change in the
Yeah,
house.
exactly.
Everything's
Yeah,
fine.
Like, when you use
Right.
your shampoo on the plane.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
But then the next day, exact same time of day.
No.
Mom and kids get home, from picking them up from school, whatever. A bunch of popping. They hear it throughout the house, and they go, they check, and it looks like things that had been like freshly fallen. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like, oh, maybe they spilled like earlier in the
Right,
day.
right,
or, like,
right.
anything. Like it was like, no, like this is currently spilling out
Oh my
of the bottle.
gosh.
Something happened. There's no carbonation in here. They kind of just like are like, okay, clearly something's going on. And then it just keeps happening. The same
No.
popping.
No.
Finally, James, the dad, also starts seeing all of this
Okay, good.
stuff.
Because we need a man to come in
Because,
and
yes.
verify. Mm-hmm.
And he actually is in the bathroom when he sees like a bottle of like medicine slide across the sink and then fall over. And so this combined with all the popping they, you know, I guess do what anyone would do and call 911.
Oh, naturally.
Because something is wrong.
911, I need authorities.
Something is wrong. It was the 50s.
Right.
It was a different time. They call 911. A patrolman who was in the area decides to go swing by, check it out. And then the popping starts again while the police officer is in there.
Thank God.
So he goes, again, assesses the bottles, tries to figure out what's going on. He has no idea, but he's like, okay, well, like, clearly there's something wrong with your house.
Right. Like, something is up.
So he goes back to the station. He's like, I don't know, there's something wrong with their house. They, I guess, have the most overfunded police department and nothing else to do in the 50s. Assign a detective to the case.
Oh my God.
A non-believer in the paranormal.
Yep.
They're thinking,
Love
like,
it.
this guy's gonna get
He'll know what's up. He'll know what's up.
He goes, he also experiences a bunch of paranormal stuff going on across the house. Like, and it I think similar to what we see in movies, like it escalates.
Yep.
Like it goes from like bottles popping to like bowls being like flung across the living room, like smashed against the wall. And this police officer is like fully taking the report of this and saying like, okay, I experienced this. Let's try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
They're checking for like drafts in the house. They're checking for radio
like
signals.
What is going on?
They're checking if there's some sort of stream going on under the house that could be causing shaking.
Oh my God.
And then eventually, I think someone in the police department kind of like let it slip to reporters, or maybe probably got paid for it. And so their house was just a full on like attraction.
Oh my
They were getting like
gosh.
75 phone calls a day. People were just like showing up to their door, taking
Wild.
photos, trying to like figure out what was going on. And then eventually it got the attention of this paranormal psychiatrist. I have his name.
Dr. Laura.
Yeah, future job.
Yes, Dr. J.B. Ryan from the Parapsychology Laboratory at Duke University. Yes, this was a real laboratory.
I have missed my calling.
No, actually, like, that used to be a real thing for there to be paranormal.
Why is it not?
No, like Ghostbusters, legit. Like,
1919 to 1984. This was a real program that existed at Duke University.
Do you feel like that went away? Like,
I want it so bad.
All right, we are bringing it back. Paranormal psychology
in the mail.
I will bring it. I will head the department.
Okay. Yes.
Laura is head of the department.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Yes.
I want
Dr. Laura.
For this to come back.
Amazing.
That's insane, though.
So it reaches this guy's.
Did he figure it out?
So he went. And I guess one of the things with poltergeist that a lot of people think happens is that it, and they kind of mention in the movie, that it only happens for kind of a short period of time.
Yeah.
And so this had only gone on for like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, it's like a window.
Before it reached like this like huge audience, basically. So by the time that Dr. Ryan went to their house, pretty much everything had stopped.
Wow.
And the family had decided just to move out.
Yep, naturally.
They were like, look,
good choice.
we don't know what's going on. We're just going to go ahead and move out. We don't want to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the detective kind of continued investigating it, try to figure out, like, maybe if he could explain what he saw, because he, like, personally experienced what was going on in the house, and they just never figured out what it was.
Wild.
Because it was just a ghost.
Because and they named him Popper.
Oh, Popper! Oh, that's cute.
Oh, it's like my cat.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the name of the little guy in the logo.
Yeah, Popper.
Popper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute.
Okay, so we need to mention what we're sipping on for this episode.
Oh, yes.
Because we've got some lovely beverages prepared by Laura tonight. Laura, what were we sipping on tonight?
Okay, so the first, can we call it a beverage or a snack?
It was a snacking beverage.
Yeah.
So I just Googled what would be a poltergeist drink, and I found this recipe for these glowing, like blacklight glowing Jell-O shots. So it is, interestingly, it is tonic water. You boil tonic water, which is supposed to give it a glow under the black lights.
Weird.
And then it's blue Jell-O, and then dragonberry rum.
They were very good.
And they didn't initially. They didn't quite glow under the black light, so I put some white ghost sugar sprinkles on top of them to get them to glow a little bit.
We will insert my clip about the vodka being strong at this point.
It is rum.
Because it was rum.
But
by the third one,
so we
tasted like vodka.
They got a little strong.
They did. They were good though.
So we had those as like a little snack. And then we are drinking the Phantom red wine.
Good choice,
which,
good choice.
If you hand me the bottle, I will explain what it is. So the Phantom wine is it's a wine. It's 2018.
It's red.
Its color is red. Its flavor is red.
It's a proprietary red from California.
That's what I was gonna say. This really tastes proprietary.
Yeah, that's all I know.
And that's it.
All I know.
Maybe it was red.
We call it the Phantom, a ghostly figure that wanders the boggle cellars at night. Fleeting glimpses of muddy work boots and blue jeans. Just like your local hillbilly. Then gone. All right, I added that last part. Does the Phantom really exist? Yes. Has it inspired us? Absolutely. Wild berries and black pepper are framed by the influence of oak with baking spices and a hint of toasty vanilla.
Yeah, I tasted all of that.
How proprietary. I love it.
It was a very good wine,
It was a very good wine.
Yeah, it was solid.
Cool.
Well, I feel like I could throw some fun facts.
I love them fun facts. Let's hear them.
Yes. So, one of the people who originally auditioned for the role of Carol Ann, the little girl, was Drew Barrymore.
Oh.
She auditioned. Steven Spielberg saw her and he said, "Look, you are not, I think, the right fit for this one." He's like, "But I have this other
I've got this
film.
other movie happening.
I have this other one, E.T.
Genius.
that I think you'd be a much better fit
I
for."
love it.
So she went on to go do that. He found the actress, Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann, in just like the cafeteria of MGM. So her sister was actually in a film.
Oh my gosh.
Her older sister, her mom, and her were there. You know, just, like, hanging around the MGM studios, like grabbing lunch. And he saw her. He went up to her and he was like, "Okay, I feel like this is the actress." So she goes, and she was actually alone at the time, just like sitting at the table. And so he goes up to her and he's like, "Oh, you know, like, hello.
That's not
like,
creepy
how are
at all.
you?" Yeah,
Right.
and she's like, "My mom told me not to talk to strangers. I can't talk to you."
Yes.
So he kind of like waited around until her mom showed up and he was like, "Hello, you know, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Steven Spielberg." And she drops her food.
Oh my gosh.
He was already a big name at
That
the
is
time.
amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think he just like felt like she would fit the
That's
role
like
perfectly.
unreal. Like that never happens anymore. I feel
Yeah.
like, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
I
yeah,
love
she
it.
auditioned for it, obviously was perfect for it.
Nice.
And got the role. I'm trying to think of other ones. Oh, when the clown is choking Robbie, who's played by,
yes, the
Oliver
fucking
Robbins.
clown.
The clown
Like,
is yes.
the worst.
One of the creepiest scenes. The clown started to actually choke him.
I remember reading about this.
While they were recording. So in the movie, he's just, quietly kind of like screaming, but like, experiencing all this.
Legit.
And he says, like, "I'm choking," while they're doing it. And they thought he was like ad-libbing, like, adding to the film. And they were like, no, you can just be quiet for this
Right.
one.
And he's like,
You know? No. It wasn't until he started turning purple that they realized that he was actually being choked. So they had to go and like take the clown off of him, like cut the scene and like make sure he was okay.
Right.
But it was actually getting choked.
Oh my god.
Poor kid.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Which I feel like is just a thing with horror movies. It's just like having a bad time.
No, I feel like it is. Like it's part of the setup of
Yes.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The room where I'm forgetting the actress's name, but the actress who plays Diane, where she's in the room and she's like going up on the wall,
Oh,
like
yes,
on the
yes,
roof,
yes.
like near like the end. The way that they filmed it was the camera and the cameraman was like attached to the floor, like they were kind of like
Nice.
rigged in so they could like film the scene, and the actual room was rotated.
Yes.
So she was just like kind of
Oh, that
like
is
dragging her
incredible.
body along the square while it like flipped around.
That is incredible.
But the room
Interesting.
had a popcorn ceiling, which
Wow.
they recreated for this rotating room, and they did like over 20 takes of her
Oh.
in just a t-shirt and underwear.
Of course,
And-
because women can't wear
Because
clothes in horror
yeah,
movies.
obviously she wouldn't be wearing real
Yeah.
clothing. And she said like by the end of it, she was just
Like road
scratched,
rash.
just like
Yeah.
bruised. She was like, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think they all described it. I think they did. The kids were okay because I think they kind of like made sure they had a better time. But
Mhm.
the two like parent actors talked about it just being a horrible time.
Oh
They were
my
like, I just remember
gosh.
being
It was
like,
a different
wet
time then.
and tired,
Yeah.
and like I guess that goo,
Yep.
like that I don't know paranormal goo that they're all covered in had like alcohol in it, so they were all just cold all the time
and just like unknowingly like swimming with skeletons.
Honestly, like it
and-
was a real different time to
Yeah.
have movies produced back then, I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like.
That's
Yeah.
that's really interesting that that's how that scene was shot, because it's a lot like the Nightmare on Elm Street, where there's
Oh,
there's the
yeah.
one scene where I don't remember the girl's name at all, but where she's
Mhm.
being killed in her dreams, and yeah, I think it was like a
Yes.
rotating room.
yeah
is what I
Oh,
had
which is
heard
so
that they
scary
did.
to like think
Yeah.
of. Like
oh my gosh,
like
I'm
a
just
haunted
getting just
house.
scratched and like, and
Oh,
even
yeah.
so they filmed in like a real suburb of
Yeah.
California,
Yeah.
and like the neighbors complained nonstop
oh
because
my
they would film
gosh.
till like 3 a.m.
Mhm.
and like I mean like the lightning and stuff, they were doing like
Right.
bright lights, bright like loud
Oh my
noises, just like
gosh.
completely disturbing
It really like
everyone in this
is
neighborhood.
such
yeah.
different conditions that they were allowed to film in
Yeah.
back
I
then.
mean, it made
Yeah.
for some authentic.
It did. We, as the viewers,
Emotions.
appreciate
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
because
you can see it
you
in the
can
actors'
feel the
faces.
pain.
Yeah. Oh,
totally.
crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Well, Laura is our local actual
Mhm.
professional. Do you have any fun psych for us for this one?
So I was thinking about this in preparation for this movie, and I have to say, like, I went through a lot of, hallucinations or delusions
Mhm.
I could consider for some of the actors, but I feel like what they went through is real.
So what
So
will be the
I-
long-term damage maybe
So-
for these
yeah,
kids
exactly.
is what we need
So
to consider.
I have to say, I can't really say that there's much psychological baggage they bring into this story.
but what
but
they
they're
take
all leaving
away.
with some.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I cannot see in any way that a single family member will not have major just PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder.
Mhm.
They will have that. There will need to be some ongoing
For sure.
counseling and trauma that they will have to deal with going forward.
Especially with little Carol Ann, there's got to be some. They say she
Yeah.
didn't remember anything, but there's got to be some
oh, she
latent
remembers.
memories, I would think.
Robbie, who got eaten by a tree.
Oh, poor kid, and then
Absolutely.
just sat there in terror as his sister is like abducted, and
Yeah.
Now, Carol Ann might not remember
honestly,
anything.
he might
the
be in
other
rougher
two.
shape than the rest of them.
Mhm. So I feel like from the kids experiencing that kind of trauma,
The parents,
but then the parents, with the
Mhm.
mom and her hair turns all gray.
and the
Mhm.
dad and his, yeah.
Yeah, so I that's I know it's kind of a boring one.
No,
but I
it's
think
not.
Yeah.
it is the
Mhm.
most applicable to every single one of them. They're
Yeah.
just gonna have some PTSD.
I agree.
Okay.
They're gonna need some therapy.
That makes
I
sense.
agree.
Yeah. fair.
And I don't remember what happens in any of the future movies. I think I maybe saw
No, I don't
Poltergeist
either.
too.
Oh, I think I
Um,
watched it.
But yeah, it definitely will have some
Mhm.
ongoing
Yeah.
effects.
Well,
for
do you guys
sure.
have any favorite or least favorite things that we haven't touched on yet?
Oh, honestly, so one of my favorites is I feel like the closet at the end,
Mhm.
that scene of it being just this like goo and this orifice, this just like open gaping wound is phenomenal. I love the imagery of that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, just in the little moments, especially early on, the lighting, I feel like lighting really does not get enough props in horror movies, because there were just these little scenes of the way that things would light up, like the meat on the counter, or, you know, the mom's face that just really made you feel that moment. So for me, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think for me that the scene that sticks with me, just kind of I have this like, you know, visceral reaction to, it's the tree.
Oh,
Like for me, it's the tree in the lightning storm with the boy just being freaked out about it.
totally.
The tree is my favorite. I think, if I'm trying to think of like a least favorite moment, I can't think of one actually.
Yeah.
It's all done pretty well. I don't feel like there's much in the film that is like kind of just fluff.
Pointless,
Yeah.
right?
Pointless
I
fluff.
agree.
I think it actually all like does a good job.
I agree.
of making substance.
I love that I think like my favorite thing was just kind of like overall like the ending where you kind of feel like everything has been resolved.
Yes.
This house is clean.
Yes.
We're ready to go. They're like, we're not even sleeping here tonight. We're just packing stuff up, dyeing our hair, picking up our toys.
Yep.
It'll all be okay.
Yep.
And then it just shit hits the fan.
I agree.
It just gets like that is the worst part of the movie. That is the worst haunting for all of them.
No,
And
I agree.
I feel like because this movie is only rated like PG, like you kind of expect low
A happy
horror from them
ending.
and like a happy
Yeah.
ending. Like
You think it's all good.
Yeah, you
like
think
you
it's like,
genuinely
oh, yeah.
buy it.
yeah, it's all resolved. Like we're good to go. No,
No. JK.
yes,
Let's do this.
Yeah, I
I
do
mean,
like that. I
they
do like
all
the fake
live,
out.
so they still kind of
No,
give you
right. But
like, a
I love
happier
that they just
ending.
get a little more trauma.
Yes, and then they have all the skeletons. Like they give you so
Yes.
much more.
No, those
Than I
last few minutes
expected.
are like
Mhm.
packed.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, no, they did such a good job with it.
All right, so what are we thinking sip wise? Because here on Spooky Sips, we don't give stars, we give sips. So out of 5 sips, what do you give this movie? I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna have to go with a 2.5.
Oh,
No, maybe a
okay.
3. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Because no, I stand by it.
Okay.
2.5 sips.
Mm-hmm.
I am kind of on board. I was going to give it a 2. Because it's a good movie, and I remember loving it as a kid, or being terrified of it as a kid. But for me, I don't feel like it quite stood the test of time. Watching it back now, I wasn't scared by it.
Like I
but,
didn't dislike it.
I didn't
Yeah.
dislike it. So yeah, it's not like a just don't drink the wine at all.
No, I drink it.
I'll still sip on it, but just 2 sips for me.
Yeah, I'm a 2.5.
Oh. See, I was thinking way higher than you guys.
Oh,
I was gonna give it a 4 sip.
Whoa,
Give it a
okay,
4.
give it a
Because
4.
this, I think one thing that they truly do capture is what people experience as real hauntings.
No, you're right.
And I think a lot of people came into that, and like, while they may not have experienced the full movie, they came out of it being like, I experienced that.
Yeah.
For like a part of it. I think we all talked about like experiencing like the haunted tree, which they just like nailed being outside your window.
I will give it that.
I think they just nailed the like what an actual person in the suburbs would experience as a haunting. So I think you just have to watch. I think it's one of those like horror movies that like you're not gonna get scared.
No, I agree.
You know, like it's not anything that you like really haven't seen before, but you have to watch it.
It is
No,
a
I agree.
classic.
It is a classic.
It is a classic.
Yeah.
It is a classic.
So even though I only rated it 2 sips, I would say it is a must watch. Like you have
definitely.
to watch
Agreed.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So everybody's drunk. You're gonna be drunk. We're gonna be drunk.
Yeah.
You get drunk. We get drunk. We're all gonna have a really good time. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So cute.
Loves it.
Sober.
Welcome to Spooky Sips ASMR. Chup, 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 chup.
Chips.
Chup, chup, chup. Chup, chup. Chup, 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 chup.
Are a fucking fool! Don't stroke the mic.
It sounds so weird.
Stop it.
Do you want to hear it?
No.
No, do it. Put these on. Listen.
Put these backwards. I think I need to hear it. I need to hear this.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I know, right? Tickles my brain. Okay, you ready?
Tickles your pickle? Are we recording all of this? Yeah. Does it tickle your pickle? I love hate that.
Okay, that's enough. We're done.
We're done, Mike.
Wait, I can't get it.
Thanks for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, subscribe, and leave a rating or review wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at SpookySips_podcast. Thanks again for listening. See you in 2 weeks for a new episode.